welcome back to the channel. Today's job is to change the belts on our Nissan Note. There's two belts on this car. They're very difficult to see. There's one that goes around the alternator, which is this thing here, so the belt wheel is there, and there's one on the other side which is longer, which you really can't see. That goes around the water pump and the air conditioning compressor. The way you get to these is to actually go through the wheel arch. There is no real access down the side of the engine, so you need to jack up the car, take the wheel off, and then we'll have a look at the view through the side. So here we are, wheel is off. We need to take off this big plastic liner which is inside the wheel arch to give us a bit more access into here, and in there we'll be able to see the belts. You can see like some of the crank nuts and stuff in there, but to take this off there's a few clips like this one. There's a lot of pop clips. Let me find one for you there. Let me see if you can see it. So you screwdriver the middle and then you can pull the whole clip out, and there's a selection of just Phillips screws which you take out, so try and remember where you took them out from. I mean, it should be fairly evident, you know, a tiny screw hole for this and a lot bigger one for a plastic clip. So I'll have a go at taking these out and then report back. Right, let me show you where I've got so far. We've nearly got this out. First you have to take off the little mudguardy thing. That's 3 Phillips screws on the front and a sneaky one on the back. So that's that. There are a selection of like pop type screws. This just pushes in. These are inside here, right here, and one on the other side of the strut, and then a lot of this style. So you have to pull this centerpiece out and then you can take the clip off, and when you push that bit back in flat it locks it. These are quite a standard clip on cars now. The best way to get these off is judicious use of a little screwdriver just to get the popper up. And then what I've used this. Now this is part of a trim removal kit for cars. I'll show you the whole kit. That's the whole thing. These are quite reasonably priced. You can get them from like Amazon and eBay for about 25 or 30 pounds. This has been invaluable for me anyway, especially inside cars. If you want to take trim off, this plastic is much kinder to the interior than screwdrivers and pliers are. And then you can also use it for jobs like this. So I've taken out about 5 of those poppy clips and 2 of these big like penny washer ones. The only place now is under the front here. There are a load of screws and some more clips, and once I get those out I think the whole lot will come out as one piece. Okay, so I think we're loose now. At the front here there are 3 self-tappers. There's like a little plastic spoiler thing, I can see it there. There's 3 self-tappers at this end, and there is one like poppy clip which is further inside. There is one where the spoiler is, you don't need to remove that. There's one actually under the body that you take off, and then the whole thing is now loose. So it's just a matter of finagling it past the wheel arch. Try not to bend it, because this, obviously there, look, it's quite soft, this metal, and will easily bend, so kind of fold it in on itself to get it out. Okay, so that was actually easier than I thought it would be. That comes clean out. It's sat over there, look. It's all one piece. It's got like a bit of a fold there. It looks like it's in 2 halves, but it isn't. There's some kind of insulation thing on this side, and I also got a free piece of polystyrene packing that's been in there since the car was made, so thanks for that. Something free from Nissan. Right, okay, now we can see the belt situation, so you've got a much better view now of what's going on up here, well, at least better access. So there's 2 pulleys, idler pulleys, that you need to undo. So this is the end of the crank. Let me see if I can get a better position. There's the crank. This one here that I'm touching, that's an idler. and that's got an adjustment on the side of it, a bolt that you can adjust to take the tension off the belt, because you can see the belt's quite tight. This one with the funny thing on the end, this is the air condition. We've got air conditioning in this car, and that's the compressor, and this weird gadget on the end is the electric clutch, which goes on and off. When it needs the air compressor, it will turn it on, and when it doesn't, it will turn it off, and you can really hear that on these cars. Now the other belt, which goes the other way, that's the idler for that one, and up above there, which you can't see, is the water pump. So two belts, smaller one on this side, longer one on this side, I think. We shall see when we get them off. So now I'm just going to investigate how to get these idler pulleys loose. Okay, so next job, what you have to do is you have to take the nut off the end of the idler pulley. We can disassemble the pulley. It's kind of like two plates with a bearing in the middle, and it's the quickest way to get the belt off. So you have to undo this nut. This is a 14mm. They are quite tight, and so is room to get to it. I can't physically get a socket on it with a breaker bar or anything actually on the end of the socket. So I did the old trick of getting a second spanner, getting the ring hooked into this bit like this, and a little bit of a tweak, and it's come undone. So I'll continue taking this off and then show you what it looks like when it's in pieces. Right, so once the pulley's off, this is what you end up with. So 14mm nut, a cover which goes over that side of the bearing. So there's the pulley with the bearing in the middle. So that goes over that side, and then on the other side, against the kind of engine, there's another cover, like a dust cover, for protecting the bearing. Inside that is a washer, like that. So make sure the washer goes on first, and you can see on the back of there where it's been against like a metal plate. Let's see if I can show you up in the car. It's been up against that bit there. You see that nut? That's what the pulley was on, and to the right hand side of it, if you can see that nut there, that's the adjustment nut. So once we get the belt replaced, that's the alternator up the top, AC and crank. Once we get all that done, we can use that nut on the right to adjust the tension of this belt. There is obviously still another belt on the other side, and I think I'll get that other one off first so we can get these on in the right order. Right, I've now got the second pulley off. As you can see, this one is quite rusty, and it was a God's own job to get off. I was really worried that I was in danger of rounding. You can see the damage to the nut, so I'm going to be really careful about putting this back on. In fact, I might file that nut and clean it up a bit. The bearings all seem in good condition. They're not loose. There's no play in them. Similar washer and then cover again. The adjuster on this one, let's see if I can show you where it is. Right, you can see where the actual pulley was, and you see that nut sticking in and out. Well, behind this one here, there's a little block that slides in a little chased out shape here, attached to that nut. And you can see when the belt's on, if you wind this nut in, it's going to pull the tension on the belt. So I'm going to clean everything up, I'm going to get the new belts out, and then we'll fit the new belts and tighten them up. So new belt time. I think you can see new belts on there. It goes around a pulley behind this one, quite a small one, goes around the idler pulley, this one, which I've reassembled and just hand tightened the nut. So we can adjust this in and out now with the nut on the end. It then goes up, over the water pump and back down again. We now need to put the belt on the other side. You can see the nut, the thread, sorry, sticking out there. I'll put the idler, you can see actually that's quite a good example of, you can see the thread is attached to a block, and in that block is another nut which enables you to go in and out. So I'll put the belt on, put the idler pulley on there, and then we just need to tighten those nuts and check the tension. The tension should be about 7 to 8 millimeters ish, and then we should be done. Second belt on. Now this second belt on. Now you can see this one fits on this front part of the crankshaft pulley. Goes around the air conditioning pump if you've got one. If not, you'll need to look for your diagram online. It then goes up, up, up. You can just see at the top there on the right, that's the alternator pulley. It goes around that, then back around under the pulley, the tensioner pulley, and you'll see this tensioner pulley is smooth because it's on the back of the belt. This one on this side, this boy here, has got grooves because it's on the inside of the belt, or it has the inside of the belt running on it. Now what you do is you just hand tighten this nut on the end so the pulley's in place and not flapping about, and push the idler pulley that way. Hand tighten the nut on the end until you get a bit of tension on the belt. Now we want 7 to 8 millimeters of movement on the belt. So what I do is, on a bit of paper, I draw a gap of 7 to 8 mil. I'll then move the belt up and down, tighten the nut on the end until those match on both sides, and then we're done. So we're on the final furlong now. Got this belt on, and see it's got plenty of tension on it. Same with that one. The adjuster on this one is really awkward to get to. You have to kind of go at it from behind this section. So kind of up behind there, and you have to do it by feel. So that the closer you can get it by hand when you're first putting the idler back on, the better. I've now tightened up the nuts on these two idler pulleys nice and tight. This isn't difficult, it's just really awkward because of the way everything is in the engine bay on this car. You can't get sockets on these things. There just isn't enough room between the bulkhead and these things, and Nissan obviously didn't see fit to give you any space. So most of these have to come off with manual spanners, which is always a bit of a challenge because they're usually quite tight, so that's a strength issue, especially when you're leaning in to get to it as well. I don't really like yanking on spanners when I'm underneath a car, so a bit of liberal use of some kind of lubricating oil, release oil. I've been using some of this stuff that you can get from Aldi. I don't know if that helped or not. It really didn't feel like it did on that rusty one. Yeah, but you do need a bit of luck, I think, with this one due to the access. But generally not difficult, just awkward. Right, so the belts are now on and fitted. So all there is left to do now is to refit the plastic shield in here. Do up all the screws at the front. Fit the little mudguardy thing on there. Put the wheel back on, and we're done. Right, putting back the plastic thing, here's a few tips. Well, this side, make sure first of all that all the plastic is behind the actual physical metal of the wheel arch, apart from a tab there and a tab there, because the clips go through those. So make sure all of this plastic is hidden behind the wheel arch here. Stick a screw in the top of that. You can do the other three even when the car's on the ground. Stick the big washery one there, leave it out of here, leave all the clips out of the right hand side, and make sure, again, plastic behind there, black plastic behind here all the way down. If you don't, you'll never get any of these clips in the right place. So you need to get all that like that, and then do the 3 self tappers and the clip at the bottom here, because otherwise none of these ones in here will ever be in the right place. You'll have to finagle them for weeks. They're nearly there now, but that's because I'm kind of ready to put the 3 ones in underneath. had 2 or 3 goes at this, and believe me, that is the best way to do it. So all this plastic in, the 3 self tappers and the clip under there, and then you should be able to put all the other clips back in. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more of these kind of videos.